Today's episode is so important in helping us with our stress. I mean, running a small business is incredibly stressful. It can be. And retail on top of that, with how fast everything is moving, it's like this extra level of stress. And if we don't know how to manage that and have tools to really support us, we can really burn out, we can break down, we can fizzle out, and it can really be a challenging thing and possibly a devastating thing. I had a small business owner friend who ended up in the hospital from stress and burnout. And so my guest today is Chrystal Rose, and she works with retailers, helping them with stress, with their management of stress and breath work, and just really connecting in so they can show up for their communities and their teams. You know, we were talking offline and she was saying it's just the ripple effect. When the store owner is right, and she's confident and she has this groundedness, like it's going to ripple into everything else that she touches. And that's really Chrystal's goal, is just to support retailers in getting there. And in this episode, Chrystal talks about something that isn't talked about enough of, what if we want to close the store or scale back or things like that? I mean, it's okay. So we're touching on some shame in here and how we can position that. How can we make ourselves feel safe? And it's just such an important conversation. So I'm so glad that you're here tuning in. Here's a little bit more about my guest. Chrystal Rose is a certified transformative coach dedicated to helping women in retail scale sustainably without stress or sacrifice. As a former boutique owner and current retailer, she specializes in guiding retail entrepreneurs to prevent burnout, reclaim their time, and create a fulfilling work-life harmony. Chrystal focuses on the personal development of somatic work that allows retailers to step into their next level of success with ease, balance, and sustainability. You can learn more about Chrystal at chrystalrose.com. That's CHRYSTAL rose.com. And let's dive into today's episode. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Chrystal Vilkaitis, the Wolf of Main Street, and this is Rooted in Retail. Chrystal, welcome to Rooted in Retail. I am thrilled you're here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited about this conversation.
I know, me too. I said this to you right before we hit record, but I feel like this is so needed. It's always needed, but now more than ever, based on some of the conversations I'm hearing, even things I'm going through in my own business. So selfishly, I feel like I'm going to have like a little retail therapy with you. We do retail therapy here on the show where we get therapy. And it feels like we're going to do a little bit of that today and just really unlock some things for our retailers. But before we dive in, will you take a couple minutes and share more about you and your retail journey?
Yeah. So I actually started a boutique in 2015 that was geared towards women with muscles because it was really hard for me to find clothes at the time. So very heavily niched. I loved it. I was solving a problem. I wasn't super passionate about clothing. But then when I fell into the coaching space and I learned somatics and brain rewiring and all of that good stuff, it changed my life. And it also changed my relationship to my business and how I made money and all of that. And I just knew I had to go all in on it. And that meant letting the store go because it's such a gift to work with women on this. And then funny, I'm back in retail. My husband and I bought an archery shop this past January. So I'm here again. And it's so fun doing it the second time around with like no stress and just like going.
Let's start there. Let's talk about this stress, because to do retail with no stress sounds incredible. And so you help retailers scale without that stress and without the burnout. So what are some of the most common habits or beliefs you see holding retailers back from running their business with more ease and energy?
So I think one of the things that we're not always aware of is that we attach our worthiness to how much we work, how hard we work and how much we're willing to work. And that is an empty hole, because no matter how hard we work, we can't work ourselves into feeling worthy. And then that, attaches to money and making more. And when is it going to be enough? And we just never quite get there. And so we may get into a place where we have built our business to massive heights, but it still feels like the business runs us, and it doesn't feel that easeful that we thought it would when we hit a certain amount, because we're being driven by worthiness. That's a big one. And most people don't realize they have that belief. They're like, oh no, I'm worthy. And it's like, but there's some stuff in there.
Yes.
There's some stuff.
Well, you start digging, because I often reference the book, The Big Leap, where he talks about like our internal thermostat of how comfortable we are in our level of success. And I think that we aren't always aware of that internal thermostat, of how much success we are comfortable with. And this is so timely, because in my 200th episode, I talked about a realization I had that effort doesn't guarantee success.
No, if only.
If only. But I think that we as small businesses can have that in our head too. Like, I need to prove my worth. I need to work really hard, and then I'll be successful. And I have to prove that I am successful by work. Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. Anything happening from that proving energy, even if it's proving to yourself, like that's still not a healthy thing, because it's like this energy of like, I have to show you. It's a push. It's a force. It's like stifling, really.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And so how do retailers find some of this ease and energy? Is that sort of the first step of like recognizing that this isn't about your worth? How hard you work isn't about the worth. Like, where do we kind of start?
Yeah, I think that, for every person, there's going to be a different place to start. But for most of us, there tends to be like wounding that happened. It could be in our childhood. It could be in past businesses. It could just be there. It doesn't always have to be big trauma. Sometimes it's just like, some jerk in the second grade said something mean to you. And today you're like, that doesn't matter, right? But you may have shifted your behavior at the time, or created a coping mechanism to be liked or loved or to be praised or whatever it was. And then here you are decades later running the same patterns. So, I say is like, I like to get to the root of what's going on, right? Get to the root of it, find that root, and then do what you need to do to heal and unravel that root, versus what most people are doing is putting a Band-Aid on it, right? Like I'll just stop doing this. Well, good luck. You're going to start doing it again, or it's going to transfer to something else. That's another coping mechanism.
Yeah, it's so true. And again, just from my experience, because I feel like it is so connected, timely, and to retailers, I had a realization that it was just like having a negative result to so much effort. So the effort not equaling the success, and then time and time again, feeling like let down, or we're behind, or we're not hitting the mark, became, maybe you could call that trauma. Like it became something to me where I was defining that, and I didn't realize what was in the way until I realized what it was. And then I could really start working on that and releasing that. So that's a really good first step. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've said that taking breaks doesn't necessarily heal or prevent burnout. I'm a big advocate for taking breaks. And so when I learned that from you, I'm like, okay, tell me more, because I feel like, we want to just take a break and it be done. Like, we're healed, we're better. So can you explain why that is, and what retailers should be doing instead to build true resilience?
Yeah. So there's a couple pieces to that. One, it's how many retailers do you know that have taken a vacation and the whole time they either worked or thought about work?
Yes.
Or when they came back, there was an avalanche of work that they needed to catch up on. And so that break didn't actually give them what they thought they wanted, which was like reprieve and rest and rejuvenation, right? It's like you're right back in it. You've taken that break, and now you need a vacation from the vacation, because now you're running. So that part, if you're not able to truly leave your job behind, your work behind, and just enjoy that vacation, knowing everything is taken care of, and then coming back and easing back in, then what good did it do? Other than, maybe you had some good experiences. Excellent. But what does one piece, because, there could be lots of things like nervous system regulation, etc., but doing things that make you feel alive. So often we get kind of stuck in the shoulds. I should do this. I have to do this. And, that's a $10 an hour job. I can only do the $100 an hour jobs. And we stop doing all of the stuff that we love so much because, oh, that's not what I should be spending my time on. And so we're depleted of energy and aliveness. And then we're just grinding. And some people are taking on more than they need to, or they're not delegating. And then there's a scarcity around all that. So there's plenty, plenty woven in. But it's that big piece of, I feel restored when I'm doing something that makes me excited and feel alive in my business. And when you stack your days of the things that make you feel good and light you up, then you have energy to go, 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 go. You can work. I'm working more hours than I've worked in like over a decade. And I'm so happy and I'm not stressed and I'm so chill and unbothered, because it's not about the amount or the hours spent. It's about how much are you spending on your aliveness.
Wow. That is a really good journal prompt for our listeners, something to really go deep on, like how much, and I would be curious, like what percentage of your time are you spending on this aliveness, the things that you love? You're right. There's so many people out there that tell us like, you've got to stop doing that. You shouldn't be doing that as a business owner. And we get really caught up in it. I think that we're moving into a world more of listening to ourselves than external.
Yes.
And I think we had to listen to the external to then realize that's not all what I want. So what do I want? Like that's how we almost had to get there to listen to ourselves in the first place. And so figuring out those things, and if you've delegated them, but they made you a lot, that aliveness, like take them back.
Yeah.
We get to write the rules. Like the retailers really need to take it back. And take the break without like adding it on through. I just talked about like, don't do it on the back end of a business trip or a market or a conference or, you know, a family trip. Like I feel like they really need to take that actual time off. Then they take the time off, but then there's guilt. Like we just feel really guilty that we actually are taking this off. So many people struggle with this. And in fact, I took a month off in June. That post was one of the most DMs I got from retailers, manufacturers, like the industry, because they're like, I would feel so guilty, or I really need to do that, but I can't do it. I would feel guilty. So why do you think this is such a common pattern, especially for retailers? And how can we start releasing that guilt?
Yeah. So again, a couple of things, right? One, it's societally, you get kudos for working hard. And rest is looked at as laziness. And so we don't always have that discernment of ourselves to know, like, am I actually being lazy or do I just need a break? Right? So there's that part. And again, we tie our work to our worth. And so many retailers' identity is wrapped up in their work, their job. And so who am I without this business? Well, if I take a month off, like, what do I do? Or if my business doesn't need me, then what does that mean about me? What does that say about me? Right? Like there's so many layers to it that are all entangled up. And so that guilt pops up and we're like, well, like, I just feel bad. I don't like doing this because or maybe I don't feel like I deserve rest. Like we have to earn rest. To me now, I'm like, that's insane. Like, really? Do you hear yourself? You have to earn rest, right? But I was there once upon a time.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think too that it is so insane. Like I hear you say that, but I so have been there and I probably will be there. I'll lay on the couch. I'm a big napper. I'm a good napper. Like I can take a 20, 30-minute nap. That's what I need. And sometimes I'll lay there and be like, why do you think you need a nap? Like it wasn't that hard. You didn't do hard work this morning. You had yesterday off, or yesterday was light. Like, why do you think you need this? And I've talked to other business friends that really experience this, where it's like, yeah, but I had a day off. I don't need another day off. Like it just is so insane. But what I've started to realize is it's really an investment in your business.
Oh
like,
my gosh. Yes.
It's a huge investment. Yeah. Like if you are so attached to the business and the success of the business that you don't necessarily, because I think we can lose ourselves. You don't necessarily, you're not taking the rest for yourself. Then take it for your business. If that's the lens you need to look through, you will get the rest for yourself and you really, really need it. But man, when you're operating on fumes or a short fuse, you're just not able to provide for your customers and your team and yourself.
Yeah, even that, like I say all the time, is if you're stressed and if you're, all pent up, you're going to make unintelligent decisions. Our stress response is literally for survival, not for success. That's what we're wired for. And so your decisions are going to be based on fear, on scarcity, and none of those decisions are generally good ones. And so when you're well rested and you feel good and you're energized, you're going to make better decisions, smarter decisions, and you're going to feel good while you're doing them and be able to stand behind them.
Yeah, so true. It's so important on so many levels. So Chrystal, which also is so fun that I didn't say this in the beginning, but we both have the name Chrystal, and it was so fun to be interviewing another Chrystal. Now, stress is unavoidable. We know it. Like retail, it's moving fast, and technology, tariffs are very stressful. As we're filming this right now, there's so much uncertainty, but you teach we can change how we experience stress. So what's your advice for retailers who feel overwhelmed right now and don't know where to start in shifting their relationship with stress?
Yeah. So I fully believe that stress is avoidable. I don't think it's unavoidable because what we think is that there are external factors that are stressful to us. That's stressful. Therefore, I am stressed, right? And what it is actually how our brain processes information. And so if we are processing the information of the tariffs or my sales are down or this girl quit or I got a mean email from a customer, right? If our brain goes, death, you will die, survival, right? Then we're going to experience a stress response in our body. We're going to clench and we're going to experience stress and we're going to go, oh, I'm so stressed, right? Plus saying it over and over again reaffirms. So there's that big piece. And I have so many people who are like, so triggered by this. And they're like, shut up, you don't know, but you don't understand. And I have this, and this is what's going on. And it's like, no, I get it. Trust me, if I would blow your mind with all of the horrible things that have gone wrong in my business. And I also know I'm safe. And so I have a very solid nervous system. And so when things poke or ping me, I'm able to go, oh, wow, this sucks. Like, it's not like I'm just, oh, it's fine and it's great and sunshine and flowers. It's like, no, this is a really shitty situation. I can acknowledge that. And this is how I'm choosing to show up and respond to it with my whole self versus I'm just going to like shake and clench and just be like desperate and fearful and make decisions and move through it. And I think that, depend where you start. It just depends on where you're at, because for someone who maybe they're not making a lot of money in their boutique and they're really stressed out because like their livelihood depends on them making money and they're not, for people like that, I am suggesting that, I don't want to say Band-Aid, but like an external strategy, right? I'm going to be like, me telling you to like do breath work and like, even work with me, right? I tell people, I'm like, I would rather work with you when you're at a space of, hey, I'm doing really well, but I feel like something's missing or I think I'm feeling burned out or, whatever. Then I'm like, cool. At least you have that financial stability that's not adding more to your, nervous system stress. But I think we need to have these kind of conversations where like getting a part-time job or doing something that's going to put money in your pocket to like make you feel more safe is so okay. Like, it's so okay. It is not failure and you get to do both. I've seen too many retailers close their doors because they think it has to be one or the other. I also see a lot of pride and shame in downsizing. Maybe you're not as big as you used to be, but hanging on to that bigger warehouse or hanging on to all the employees, like, yeah, it sucks to scale back. But if you do it before you need to take all the way down to the bone, then you're going to save yourself a lot of pain, suffering, heartache, or having to eventually just close your doors versus scale back. There was no shame in it. Oh my gosh. So many people are doing it and not talking about it. And so I think like we have to look at a two-pronged approach here. Like, what can I do externally, truly, just to like make myself feel a little safer? Is that get a job? Is that ask for help? What is it? And like also that internal, right? Like regulating your nervous system and doing things that are going to chill you out are paramount, because that happens over time. And then as time goes on, you're feeling less pinged by all the things that go on around you.
Exactly. And I know we'll talk about some tools for them too. This is so relevant, again, to this 200th episode I just filmed, because one thing I think our listeners will relate to this, I rarely make podcast episodes like about me. I feel like I'm doing it a lot more in this episode because it's so like connected to what I'm going through. And so it's just very relatable. But I was really caught up in measuring success based on what I'm seeing other people do.
Yeah.
And so this is a very common thing, right? We look externally on where I should be and how I should be showing up. And it goes back to these shoulds. And if I'm behind. And so we don't want to scale back the store or get the second job or do things like that. I'm really glad you brought that up because I totally agree. I don't think it's talked about enough. There is a lot of potential shame in that and embarrassment and fear. But I had a realization. It was like I was kind of chasing a $10 million business. This is how we could get to 10 million. And then all of a sudden, when I took my break, I'm like, okay, I don't want, like,
I don't even want that.
Yeah. Where am I getting this from? Like, it's just, again, it was just external and I could have that type of business, but I don't want that at all. Like what it's going to take to get there and the hustle and the goals and the team. And I don't want that kind of business. So I got really clear on what I wanted. I'm like, actually, what I have right now is pretty much what I want. Like, I wouldn't change a whole lot more. And so it was a weird thing though, because I want to achieve next level, where do you want to go? And for me to be like, actually, you don't need to go anywhere else. You could just be really grateful in where you are now.
And wait, why? Right. And being really grateful for where you are right now. Like if you have $1 in the bank and you are so grateful for that dollar, guess what? You make more money. That's how you make more money, by being like, I love where I'm at, rather than, I just want to get to the next level, push.
Oh my gosh. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And I think that you can squeeze the energy out of it. You squeeze the life out of the goal of the enjoyment of so much. So this is just really important to have. So let's talk about some of these tools. Yeah. Because you've mentioned somatic healing, nervous system regulation. So can you share a few simple everyday practices our listeners can try to feel more grounded and balanced while running their stores?
Like the number one easiest thing I'll say is breath work. I have a whole breathwork podcast. There's like 130 episodes on there, and there's deeper ones and not. But even if you just set an alarm 3 times a day that says, take a breath, and you just take but a nice deep inhale in through the nose, and you just do that 3 times, and then 3 times a day, that alone will give you like presence in your body and time to just be like, oh yeah, right? Like I'm here, getting in your body. So having that mind-body connection, maybe that's working out, maybe that's going for a walk, maybe it's doing breath work, something like that. Because when you're in your head, again, that's where fear lives, because it's built for survival. That's what our mind is for. And so when you get in your body remembers and it calms you down. So if you don't do anything else, just taking a few deep breaths. It's so simple. It's dumb, right? Like, what a tip, but genuinely just taking those deep breaths. I did this on a plane the other day. There was someone who was standing next to me, like kind of shoving herself into my seat because she wanted to get out. And I could just feel her like frantic energy radiating off of her. And I just went, like, this isn't mine.
No.
And even asking yourself, those questions sometimes, like, is this mine when you're taking on someone else's stuff? Or is this true when your inner critic is like going off and saying all these things about you? Is this true? Is it mine? Is this the reality? Is this written in the sky somewhere that this is the ultimate truth? And most of the times you're going to find the answer is no.
Right.
Yeah.
So I felt like I was having a panic attack going to the airport a couple of weeks ago. And I'm driving, and it was just this weird feeling of a lot was going on. I was caught up. I wasn't really present, I don't think. And I did exactly what you were saying. I was like adjusting to breathe. Yeah. And so I was very intentional on my breathing. And it was incredible how much it calmed me down. Because I was like, do I need to pull over? Can I go on this trip? Like I was spiraling a little bit. And just to breathe is wild how helpful. So yeah, it's a simple tip, but
well, it's science. It's science because when you're in your sympathetic nervous system, that's the stress. And when you take those deep breaths, then you're triggering your parasympathetic and you are in that rest and digest. And so it goes, from one side to the other, and you're able to get in that space. So I love that you did that.
Yeah, I know. I was glad that I thought to do something instead of freak out.
Yeah.
I've also heard humming can help, or singing. Is that true?
Yeah. Well, singing or dancing as well, because you're in the vibration. Like music is generally like I want to say like a higher vibration thing. So like, I think even like Tony Robbins says like 45 seconds of just like dancing or like singing is a state change. And that's really what it is. It's you're changing your state versus like if you're focused on whatever the thing is that's freaking you out, you're in that state. And then if you sing for 30 seconds, 45 seconds or a minute or dance, like you're changing your state. You can't help you move your biology, then you will change your state of being.
Okay, that's incredible. So I want our retailers listening that if you need to change your state, we're just going to turn up the music and have a dance party at the store.
Yes. Highly recommend. Highly recommend.
Oh my gosh, please do the dance party. I think your team would appreciate that. If everybody just had like a reset moment here, it'd be great. Awesome. Chrystal, any other tools you want to give us that are very simple before we move on to the resilience round?
I think that's it for now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Just breathe. Breathe and dance. I love it. All right. Yes, are you ready for the resilience round?
I am.
Okay. Best business book.
I'm going to say the one that I'm reading right now because I'm reading it right now, and it's 10x is easier than 2x.
Yes, that's a good one. Best retail technology, like an app or software.
Oh, goodness. I just really use like Shopify. Like I don't really have a whole lot of apps connected to it, So sorry,
that's
boring.
Great. Shopify's great. How do you keep up with the ever-changing retail landscape?
I try not to pay too attention of what's going on in the industry, and I go with like what would be fun to do.
Love that answer. If you had to start your business all over again, what's one thing you'd do differently?
Well, this current one, probably not make such a big purchase on this one particular brand. But yeah, my last retail business, I could write a book about that.
Well, I think that your answer is very relatable to a lot of our, they've all been there, I'm sure. Chrystal, finally, what do you think the future of independent retail looks like?
I think it looks different than it's looked in the past, but I'm honestly really excited for it. And I think it's got to be more about giving the experience to your customer. Like we need to deal in experiences. Your customers, I said this the other day in a group, they don't just want cute clothes. They want your soul. And we've got to be willing to provide that to them.
Yeah. Well said. Chrystal, how can people connect with you and learn more?
Yeah, so you can go to chrystalrose.com. It's spelled with a CHRYSTAL. I have a podcast, Breathwork Bestie, that is just breathwork meditations, no chit chat. And I also do have a chit chat podcast, The Embodied Baddie, and then Instagram, Facebook. I'm everywhere.
Amazing. We will link to it all. And I can't wait to check out the Breathwork podcast specifically because I need some help there. And I know how powerful it is. Thank you so much for supporting our retailers in the way that you do. They need that. We all need that support. So thank you, and wishing you so much luck with the new retail business. I'm sure it'll be great. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Awesome. Everyone, remember that I'm rooting for your success. Have a great week ahead. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to the Rooted in Retail podcast. It means the world to me to have you here. If you find value in this show and you listen on an iPhone, if you could leave a review on the Apple Podcast app, that would be amazing. And if you watch YouTube, if you're a YouTube subscriber, we film this. And so if you rather watch the show, you can also do that over on YouTube. Again, thank you for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode.